Welcome to the course Digital Storytelling. My name is Luka Piškorec. So vanishing point is basically that's a point in the image where all the parallel lines in the perspective projection converge, or toward which all the parallel lines converge. And I will show you maybe on let's use this simple example here. That's also going to use a bit later as well. So this is again from photographer Simon Bossi, just interior photograph, and I think it's a Swiss house, so it has nice kind of exposed concrete, so it's very easy to see the perspective lines. Okay, so first a little bit about perspective. So if this is in the image or in our photograph, we can find the vanishing point. So vanishing point is basically the point toward which all the parallel lines converge. So in space, this line here, and this line here, and this one on the floor, and maybe one here, they are parallel. Or so they, I mean, assuming that this is sort of a straight rectangular kind of room, which you can maybe assume because it looks very traditional. Then these four are parallel lines, and in perspective, they all meet in one point, which is then the vanishing point, and that point lies on the horizon. Okay, so this is not true if these are not parallel in space. But again, because this is an interior, it looks like so, and we will just assume that these are parallel in space. It's a very high probability that they are. And yeah, we can kind of find that vanishing point. So again, you can, if this would be paper, you could just kind of draw it. I'm just going to go here, new layer. I have a brush, quite kind of thin, and I'm just going to draw. I'm going to draw. If I have a brush here and I hold Shift, I can draw like a straight line. Okay, and then if I go in and hold Control and Alt, I can sort of copy paste this line, and I can do this 4 times maybe. So Control is for moving, and if I hold Alt, this is of course on Windows. I apologize if you have Mac. Then my cursor changes this kind of one black, one white, and then I can sort of copy paste lines. Okay, so now I have 4 of these lines. They're just some guidelines that I can use, and let's just kind of, I can go again, image, transform, or I can actually go free transform, or you can just say Control T. To sort of transform this line, and I'm just going to use it as a line to basically trace these these lines here of the ceiling. So one is here. I'm not going to be super precise. Again, if this would be paper, it's easier, and so it's a bit hard to work with these lines in Photoshop. There might be a better way. There's like, you can work with shapes and then can actually do a proper straight line. This is a bit hacking, but it's good enough for us. Okay, I'll just try to extend it as much as I can, something like this. Enter. Okay, this one I should also a bit extend. So if you hold Control, you can just move it. Okay, now they intersect. Now, this is probably the vanishing point, and you can see somehow this line here seems like it's lying on the horizon. This is probably not a coincidence, so it might be also a design from an architect, that this line in the concrete was set so that it's more or less at the eye height, but who knows? Or maybe Simon Bossi, who is the photographer, he set his camera on a tripod so that it's exactly at the height of this line here. That might actually be the case, because you can see that this line, the line in the formwork here looks straight. That means the camera is exactly at this height, or so it's not even the eye height of the person, but just where the camera was. Or okay, this one goes here. Okay, and then kind of they might not exactly intersect, but they actually should. Or so depending on how precise I do this, they all intersect. And yeah, let's do just the last one. You can imagine that this last one is a little bit harder because it's not really clear where the wall is, but there's a kind of a window. Okay, and that's basically every image or every sort of photograph or every image that pretends or tries to be realistic needs to kind of follow these perspective rules. And these rules are basically, let's go back, yeah. These rules are basically that there should be a vanishing point. Okay, so this point is then the vanishing point, and I can just do kind of a new layer, and I can actually draw with Shift. I can just draw the, maybe even one more time. Shift. Okay, so that's the vanishing point now. Oh, sorry. This is the horizon. Okay, it lies here. Yeah, and that's it. And then basically, if I'm constructing, so if I would kind of construct other surfaces or put objects inside this room, I would have to basically use the same vanishing point and make sure that sort of this lines, so vanishing point of the object that I insert also needs to lie on this horizon. And again, if the edges of the object are sort of orthogonal edges of the objects are parallel to these lines, then the vanishing point needs to be the same. It should be exactly here. Okay, that's how I can make it realistic. But Photoshop has some tools that make this a bit automatic for us. So I'll show you some of these. Actually, let me just quickly open one of the other ones. I have the, yeah, maybe, well, I'm just gonna run it. You can see this is the School of Athens by Raffaello, so that's 16th century. And kind of not to go too much into art history, but, you know, in Renaissance, painters, in a way, rediscovered perspective also. That's kind of the first time then, well, at least in the Western, again, in the sort of Western culture where perspective was used in paintings. So, you know, if I would draw again lines along these ones here, and somewhere on the floor, I have them here, for example, they would all, the vanishing point would appear somewhere here in the middle. And of course, because the Renaissance painters liked symbolism, this vanishing point, not even sure this is Plato on the left and Aristotle on the right. It could be even that vanishing point is somewhere here where his hand is, but I cannot, I'm not absolutely sure. Okay, but this vanishing point always exists. Maybe let's, you know, here you can find it. So this is St. Jerome in his study, also a Renaissance painting. Again, I would probably find it by kind of aligning this cupboard line here, maybe this one here, maybe something on the floor. Okay, these lines on the floor, they all need to have the same, when I extend them, they all intersect in the same point, which is, again, somewhere here, here as well. Of course, these photographs that I chose are very easy to find the vanishing point because they are very strong indications or very strong lines that you can see. So you could just kind of draw this line here of the street, follow these windows here, and the vanishing point would be, you would basically find the horizon somewhere there. Where else? Here, of course, very, very visible line of cars, lines of sort of buildings, but of course, they need to be on the same height. So you need to find the correct ones, and then vanishing point somewhere here, maybe. And yeah, here it's also very easy when this is all New York, very long streets. So vanishing point somewhere here. And yeah, that's it. In some images, it's a little bit harder to find it. But again, you just need a few lines to sort of determine it approximately, at least. I guess it would be somewhere a little bit above this line, maybe somewhere here would be the vanishing point. Okay. Okay, and I'll show you now some tricks that you can do in Photoshop in order to help sort of guide your work. Okay, so all of these, I can just I can just save them. Okay, let me actually delete some stuff here. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete some of these, maybe like this. And maybe I select. So again, if you press Control, you can just select the appropriate layer, and then you can start kind of immediately working in it. Control this line, hop like this, control this line. And then maybe that's kind of already okay. And horizon we leave. Okay. this object here. If I need to extend it, I can just do. These are kind of very ugly lines, but just it is. Okay, and the same problem. And now I will just save these lines. So if you select in the layers here, you have the layers, select them all, say right click and you say merge layers. And then here I can call them, you know, perspective lines. We don't really need them, but it's maybe good always to have them sort of as a reference. And I will save all of this as kind of perspective. So it's here, session, and I'll call it today's date 21/04/08. Perspective Simon Bossi. Okay, so we're just going to practice a little bit. Okay, so the first tool that I want to show you is the first tool that I want to show you is this vanishing point. So I'll just remove the perspective lines. I can just preview it, go here, new layer, and yeah, surfaces maybe. Okay, so if I go, for example, to so it's here under filter, vanishing point. Okay, so it appears on the other page. Here it is. Okay, so you basically get another window. It's like here. I cannot make it smaller, unfortunately, or maybe I can a little bit make it smaller. Okay, so you get it in a separate window. And now, unfortunately, this Alt zoom in doesn't work anymore here. You have to go somehow Control plus to sort of zoom in, which is a bit annoying, but so it is. Okay, or is Control minus to go out. Okay, so what we can do, we can set the perspective plane here. So here I have two tools. I have this kind of create plane tool, and I can literally create a plane. I can go a bit maybe closer in. I can create a plane on the edge of this wall, and I cannot really go all the way to the edge for now, but luckily I have these very neat lines here that I can follow. So I just kind of go down. So what I'm doing now, I'm drawing a plane in perspective. Okay, yeah, Control minus to go a bit unzoom. Okay, so now we got this perspective plane, and I can actually even make it bigger, I think. Yeah. So now this plane is sort of, I mean, this plane is here just to sort of distort my potentially my geometry, so I can now copy paste things inside and have them basically orient correctly onto this plane. But first I need to copy paste something. Okay, so I'm just going to go here quickly, have something prepared, maybe this bricks. Okay, so if you remember, I can just drag and drop it here. These are again, this is again from the materials library or textures library that I gave you. So I can maybe go something like Control A, Control C. So copy this, canvas size in the corner, percent, maybe do it width 200, height 200. Okay. And then, so this one is tileable, means I can just go Control V, so paste, and I can sort of put it maybe somewhere. Yeah, something like this. Then Control V, another one, maybe here, Control V here. Somehow it doesn't. Okay, like this. So it's just a bit larger brick wall. I can select all the layers and just say merge visible or flatten image. And now I can select all of it. Control A, Control C to copy, go here. And now, if you remember, so I can sort of, I can in a way adjust it sort of manually. If I just say, you know, paste like this, then Control T to transform. And now I want to maybe adjust. So I would like to put this, this surface kind of onto this one here, but I want to do it sort of precisely. And I mean, here it's would be almost easy because I have a rectangle already defined, and the surface that I'm pasting in is also a rectangle, so it's easy. But maybe I don't have such nice kind of cutouts. So I can again use my vanishing points. If I go again to filter, vanishing point. Now here I can actually paste my surface, or so I can just say Control V to paste. Okay, now it appears here. And now it's a bit of a, so it's a bit kind of a completely separate thing. I have to press, I think, T. Okay, I press T, and now you can scale this one a little bit. With Shift, you can kind of make it like this, perfect. And with, I think, guess with this one, Edit Plane tool, you can move it. Oh no, it's a, sorry, Transform tool. Okay, you can move it onto the wall like this. Okay. So it basically just kind of snaps onto the wall, and I can again transform it again with T. I should be able to, it's a bit too big, but I think I should be able to make it smaller. So again, you have to hold sort of Shift. So basically I'm just transforming it now on this wall. Okay, and this is basically how you can sort of in some way kind of work with these. Okay, then maybe something like this. Again, I'm using Shift so I don't distort. And yeah, you kind of just basically move it around. Maybe I move it here and just press kind of Enter or something. Yeah, and now it's kind of placed it there. Also, these bricks are now a little bit too big. But you would have to adjust the scale. But basically, these bricks are now sort of in the perspective. I can do something, and then this is now like a separate layer, so I can do whatever I want with it. I can show you a few other tricks. So if you are getting into filter, vanishing point, I can construct more planes. Or so I can, for example, what can I do? I can go, I think if you press Control, you can just extrude this. Or so I kind of just continue extruding this in it's an orthogonal direction to this plane. So let me see, maybe somewhere here. Control plus, okay. I didn't really get it, but almost there. Okay, you can just extend it like kind of normally there. And again, this works because if I place one plane, the vanishing point of the whole space is determined, or vanishing point for that plane is determined, and then based on that I can kind of extrude all the other faces, and I can again press Control and go down from here. Okay, so I get basically 3 planes now, and they should, again, because this is a Swiss building, they kind of align, I think, quite well. Control minus. Okay, now I have 3 planes. You can select them separately, and yeah, and I could even do I guess I could do the floor as well, but I'm a bit afraid, to be honest. Control, hop. Now, of course, it should sort of match perfectly, but it just depends a little bit on kind of how you, maybe like this. Get it up. Control, okay. And then they kind of, come almost there. Okay, so now I have have basically 4 planes. Of course, this one is, this one could maybe be even extended a bit further on the floor. This one is fine. This one is fine. This one is fine. Okay, yeah, let's take another one here. So copy, go here again, filter, vanishing point. Now I have kind of all 4 of them. Now I can again paste, Control V, and again I guess press here transform tool, and with the Shift I can sort of make it smaller, and now I can sort of, I should be able to sort of snap it onto, for example, the ceiling. Oh, yeah, okay, but yeah, okay, it kind of works. I think that it's maybe a bit sort of too big, so it goes all the way around. Okay, but basically, if I'm a little bit careful how I just press OK. Okay, that's a bit too extreme, but basically I can use these surfaces then. Just Control Z. I can use these surfaces to place objects sort of precisely onto the onto my image. Or so that's how you can use vanishing point. You can kind of again map surfaces onto other surfaces. Okay, I'll actually save this. It's not really a good example, but let me actually see how I can maybe. So maybe I don't want to have all of them. I think I can just select them like this. Okay, I can select them individually, and I think delete again somehow doesn't work, at least in my laptop. But I have to press backspace. So backspace kind of deletes the surfaces. Okay, so I can go Control V again to paste, transform. So maybe I work kind of with one by one a little bit, and of course the scale doesn't. Again, scale is a bit off again, so I would have to kind of adjust it so that the bricks, of course, align. But yeah, so that's a bit the way to do it. And I want to show you just a few other neat tricks. So let's say I have an object like this. So this is like not really a painting, but it's sort of like a brick wall that is here. Okay. Now I can kind of make it a little bit more spatial if I want to. So I can, for example, I can make this wall sort of appear basically in front, or bricks to appear a little bit in front, or basically like a painting in front of this concrete wall here. So you can, on the surfaces, that's this layer here, you can actually double click. You can double click here, you have to, so if you double click kind of on the name, you change the name, but if you do it on the right, you get this extra window, so layer style, and here you can do kind of tons of adjustments. You can adjust, for example, how the blending is done with the lower layer. So blending mode, same, it's also here, different blending modes. And you can, for example, add drop shadow. And what drop shadow does is, I have to go here. Oh, delete it. Okay, drop shadow is here. Okay, so I can kind of change basically the angle of the shadow, sort of the distance, and spread should maybe be a bit smaller, size a bit smaller, yeah, something like this. I hope you can see kind of how the shadow is created, how there's a spread. Okay, maybe distance. Okay, so I can kind of change where the shadow is, and if I'm a little bit careful, I can kind of make it basically. I can make it look like it's this angle. Okay, I can make it look like it's like a shadow underneath. Okay, something like this. Okay, and now the cool thing is that this is interactive. Also, if I add anything, so there's, you see a small artifact here, small line that was left from some copy pasting, I guess. So I can just delete it. I think I can delete and go here under delete. Where is it? Here, rubber eraser. I think I can just, when you delete it, it basically deletes the shadow as well, because the shadow is that's basically an effect on this layer. Or so you can imagine that I can, for example, cut this one in, and then sort of the shadow is being adapted at the same time. Or so I kind of have a little bit of interactivity there. And do it again, maybe here. Oh no, here it. Maybe see it, but maybe like this. Or so I can kind of I can really sort of play with expression. Like this. Okay. Okay, so this is how you can kind of sort of quickly add shadows onto your image. Here it will not work, I think, that well. Okay. I can double click here on surfaces, or yeah, then it opens this window, and then under drop shadow, here's the angle. So this is like a small angle. It's somehow, I don't know exactly what's the how exactly this angle calculated, or from what, but that's basically the angle of the shadow.